Well, hello, that's me again. Today is June 19th. It is Hump Day, I believe, Wednesday. I really lost the track of time. But let's start with obviously what really matters in this particular case. And yesterday, as you all know, Vladimir Putin began his visit to North Korea, and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un personally greeted Putin at the Pyongyang airport, and the trip was kicked off on Tuesday, will involve a very busy agenda. Well, as you might understand, whenever any leader visits the country, or any country for that matter, and especially a country like North Korea, everything is being prepared traditionally in advance. So you basically fly in, you meet the big guy, you sit, you talk, you sign things. And boy, did they sign things. And the signing of this thing is called actually the Russia and North Korea conclude new treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership. It was signed today, and judging by the well-satisfied look of Mr. Putin and Mr. Kim, things went really nicely. Why this is so much important? Why this is, incredibly important? Well, let me put it this way. First, Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia today, Mr. Rybkov, went out on record. You can easily find it, if you want to. Obviously, it's all over in Russian media, that essentially, Russia is ready to deploy long-range weapons to friendly countries. Well, as you might expect, signing of the comprehensive strategic treaty with North Korea automatically places North Korea into a very friendly country for Russia. And you might understand, I wrote about this yesterday, that guess what? Suddenly, North Korean scientists will make a really huge breakthroughs in the targeting, in the recon, and in long-range weapons, which cannot be shut down. This is just to kind of demonstrate to you what is this all about. And of course, if we talk about the economic development, these are very good news for North Korean people who endured horrible situation, especially during the famine of the 2000s and early 2010s. It was absolutely devastating on not only on economy, it was devastating on the population. Well, right now, as you understand, this automatically opens North Korea to trade because Russians don't care anything about all kinds of sanctions and all this BS which is pulled through the Security Council in the United Nations. And yeah, well, what's the point to maintain any kind of the pretense? So Russia will open her huge market, and guess what? The food situation in North Korea will improve dramatically. It was improving somewhat, but it will now improve dramatically. And if you will ask me what are the other benefits in economic terms, for example, between Russia and North Korea, it's no secret that there are many North Korean workers who worked as the seasonal workers on all kinds of their, construction sites and things of this nature in Russia, including, of course, on the Far East. And now, well, guess what? These are earnings. This is the cash flow from one very, very rich country into the country which was impoverished by sanctions and all this regime of basically killing North Korean people for all kinds of the pretexts, including the fact that allegedly there was even drug trade. I don't know, so I can totally understand that there have been a lot of things which are not pleasant or nice looking on part of North Korea, but hey, desperate times, desperate measures. So we have this situation, and this in itself is very, very important, but let's start also kind of view what's in coming next. And what's coming next is, of course, Mr. Putin's visit to Vietnam. United States, which is responsible for killing more than 3 million of Vietnamese, bombing them, shooting them, treating them, starving them, so what have you. U.S. calls for a full over Putin's visit. Reuters talks about it. The U.S. Embassy in Hanoi has reportedly denounced the Vietnamese government for hosting a state visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin. No country should give Putin a platform to promote his war of aggression and otherwise allow him to normalize his atrocities. This is what is called chutzpah, guys. These are the guys who killed and poisoned Vietnam for 10 years in 60s, and now they pretend that they really have any moral ground to accuse anybody. But hey, you know what? The collapse of the empire comes with the incredible outburst of arrogance and loss of self-awareness. And yeah, we can observe this in real time. So, and yeah, Vladimir Putin starts his visit to Vietnam today. And there is another very important thing. Obviously, there was always the pro-Chinese and pro-American or pro-Western factions in Vietnam. And it looks like Vietnam is beginning to make, you know, its choice, so to speak, moving towards BRICS, which is inevitable. And Vladimir Putin is on record that Vietnam is very seriously considered in the structure of BRICS. It's a large country with a significant economy. Obviously, Vietnam is armed primarily with Russian weapons. And then again, you know, Vladimir Putin stated that Russia will also, you know, open the center of the nuclear technologies in Vietnam. So, boy, those things are developing really fast, and I can barely keep the track of that. And then we have a situation with their losses during a special military operation, and as you can see yourself, they are consistently now above 1,800 KIAs and wounded a day. Yes, 2 days ago, I believe it dipped a little bit, something like 1780 or something like that. You can look it up in my video. But yeah, again, each day, single motor rifle equivalent of brigade is wiped out from the order of battle of the armed forces of Ukraine. As you can see yourself, there are 7 tanks, 11 armored vehicles, 41 artillery and mortars, and each day you can see yourself what is happening. It's absolute slaughter. And yeah, there was again the repetition of the stupidity of the planners, because they wanted the Ukraine to go some kind of counteroffensive. Well, they tried to attack with the, as I already stated, from the couple of platoons to the company level of attacks on Russian positions. Russians sit back and just kill them. So this is the level of the, you know, so to speak, military expertise of NATO. And then we have the situation which is even, how to put it, even more interesting, because obviously there were some news like this. This was reported by Semaphore, you know, 2 weeks ago, and it's about the U.S. to adopt more competitive nuclear weapon strategy. The U.S. believes it needs to adopt a more competitive approach to non-proliferation and arms control in light of rising global tensions, which of course the United States stoke together with the chihuahuas from Europe, and make certain adjustments to our posture and capabilities, a senior administration official told Semaphore. Pranay Vadi of the National Security Council is expected to outline the new directions at an arms control conference Friday. So that was a couple of weeks, and guess what? Let's kind of see how United States envisions this new, more aggressive approach. You can go to the Yahoo News, which narrates this. This is from Yahoo News, and guess what? Okay, here's what the more aggressive approach will look like. It will be to develop a new nuclear gravity bomb and efforts to extend the life of some higher class nuclear submarines. For people who are not in the stream of the news, so to speak, and those who, for example, join my channel for the first time, and I will be elaborating more on this, yeah, it's actually a wowzer. You know why it is a wowzer? Well, for a simple reason that a higher class, while definitely at that time when they came out in 80s, they were the best submarines, you know, strategic missile submarines in the world. They were silent. There were, you know, many positive things about it as the weapon system and the platform. Well, they are now, aging and they're nearing obsolescence. Well, guess what? Evidently, what is happening now with the future development of the Columbia-class new strategic missile submarine, we have already news coming from being delays, a lack of technologies. There are a bunch of the problems non-stop. Obviously, the most favorite thing is the cost overruns. Now, if anybody thinks that nuclear gravity bomb changes anything in modern combat, God forbids it goes to the nuclear, threshold. Yeah, it's the same as flying the B-17 with some, of the World War II fame against something like the Panzer or Buk M, even Buk M1, and trying to drop those bombs. So these are totally obsolete weapon systems. Not to speak about, we don't even know what kind of the nuclear warhead, nuclear charge, so to speak, there will be there. I don't know, so don't ask me. But this is what it is. It's almost comical. So Russians begin to respond. And what happens now, Maria Zakharova talks about it. Here is Maria Zakharova reacting to this on 8th of June. And here we have the situation. Russia will respond to the statement of the US administration about increasing the nuclear arsenal in accordance with the nuclear doctrine. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said. The diplomat believes that the United States no longer understands what and why they are declaring, as well as why they use words related to Russia to build their conceptual things. This, according to Zakharova, speaks of the internal inferiority of the United States. Well, Mr. Ryabkov, again, today he also responded to this situation with the United States, just ratcheting up this rhetoric. Again, as you probably already figured it out, the reason when I was deciphering this thing about this aggressive posture, there's nothing behind it. The United States has no resources, industrial or scientific, or to even respond in anything. And I'm on the record, you can quote me, United States lost the arms race, especially in the delivery systems. It's not about just charge, it's not about the warhead, it is about delivery system. It always was, because what's good your gravity bomb is when you are shut down 400 kilometers from your target. But this is exactly what it is today. So, and Mr. Ryabkov already stated that, yeah, we are working already on the changing some things about our nuclear doctrine. And you can go and take a look at Russian nukes, so to speak, and Russian nuclear doctrine. You go to the Kremlin.ru, which is the Russian president's site, and you can see yourself what Russian nuclear doctrine and how it is described. It is from the 2nd June 2020, it's presidential order of 355. It's about on the fundamentals of the state policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence. So you can go over there and you can take a look. It's easily translates, nowadays, and you can take a look what Russians mean by their nukes and deterrent. And so, as you can see yourself, the state policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence is a set of coordinated political, military, technical, diplomatic, economic, informational, and other measures. So, as you understand, it's not just about weapon systems. It is the whole, so to speak, policy of the state, which spreads across the practically every facet of human activity. And this is all is to maintain the potential of nuclear forces at a level sufficient to ensure nuclear deterrence and guarantees the protection of sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state. The Russian Federation considers nuclear weapons exclusively as a means of deterrence, the use of which is an extreme and forced measure, and is making all necessary efforts to reduce the nuclear threat and prevent the aggravation of interstate relations that could provoke military conflicts, including nuclear conflicts. And here comes this point 6, which, as you can see yourself, which most likely will be reviewed, as Mr. Ryabkov stated, and will be updated. Look attentively, listen attentively, or read attentively what is in there. The normative and legal basis of these fundamentals consist of the Constitution of the Russian Federation, generally recognized principles and norms of international law, international treaties of Russian Federation in the field of defense and arms control. That's the key. The reason it is the key, because United States, starting from the exiting during the Bush Jr. administration presidency, quitting the ABM treaty, and then violating pretty much every single treaty on the arms control. And that means what? Russia is not tied anymore by those international obligations and treaties. And here comes the question of what is called the escalation dominance. Well, you don't have to escalate necessarily just kinetically killing people. You can escalate by what Russians already started doing, by developing brand new weapon systems, delivery systems, and Russia has wherewithal, industrial, to produce them in quantity which completely dominates the whatever combined West can produce. And let's talk about this a little bit, about those nukes, so to speak, and what we are talking about. And let me put it this way. We will start with this. And if you go to my blog, you will read it. You can easily find it. I make references to it. That about 2.5 years ago, I stated that this thing is, remember this media noise about, yeah, getting ready and all that, you know. Well, in reality, of course, nothing happened because United States cannot develop hypersonic weapons. Here we have this guy, Sam Skov, who probably has understanding of the engineering and scientific issues surrounding those weapons, well, about on the level of the middle schooler at best. But so he talks about general accountability, government accountability office, which about the delays push Army hypersonic missile to fiscal 2025. Remember, 2.5 years ago, much fanfare about that the new, containers and systems have been already activated in Europe, and they did it also on the joint base Lewis McChord in Washington State. So, well, guess what? Even a successful launch might not be the end of Army worries about the missile, which is the Army's long-range hypersonic weapon, which cannot fly. And you remember, they say, oh, no, scientists are working and they will get it working soon. Well, at that time, 2.5 years ago, I said, oh, I really doubt it. And Mr. Putin already at that time stated that, and he was overly optimistic. He stated that basically the lag was between 5 and 7 years. Well, we'll talk about this even today. Mr. Putin evidently was also very optimistic. So we have the situation. And so here's the guy, the Sam Skov, and look at this. U.S. officials has described an arms race against China for hypersonic development, a field that Russia also invests in. Well, Russia is the only country which fields the whole array of hypersonic weapons which not only work, but work with devastating efficiency in real combat. So he continues to provide this, basically BS, because this is, it's pure classic sour grapes, it's pure classic butthurt, and they cannot cope with this. It's a coping of the highest level because he continues to spread BS from Ukraine propaganda that in 2023, Ukraine shot down 6 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. All the experts noted that they were not the maneuverable type of missile typically referred to under the umbrella term of hypersonics. First, American experts in hypersonics are a joke. So are the journalists who place this or publish this garbage, because actually Kinzhal is highly maneuverable. And if we assume, which is partially true, that Kinzhal is based partially on the Iskander missile, even Iskander missiles are maneuverable. But you know what? So You cannot really fix this. And I will explain why there is so much coping, sour grapes. The guys cannot take it. I understand them because they watch too many Hollywood movies, and a lot of BS have been, basically, trickled down to all those American pathetic, really, so-called media. But here is the really serious situation, which, as I already stated, both Mr. Putin and me, we have been too, how to put it here, overly optimistic. As you can see yourself, today, well, how to put it politely, elusive hypersonic arms defense news published need Western teamwork, NATO researcher says. So in Paris, hypersonic weapons are likely still decades away from fielding, and the requisite research is best carried out collaboratively among Western nations. According to Kirsten Huber, Executive Officer for Applied Vehicle Technology at NATO Science and Technology Organization, I would think it needs another 20 years, Huber told Defense News on the sidelines of a roundtable discussion on the technology at the Eurosatori Defense Show in Paris. Well, what can I say? So, but professional thinks it's 20 years. Yeah. Mr. Putin, Mr. Shoigu have been on record non-stop that, yeah, guys, you are behind us, and it's dramatically, and we already have, as they stated, which is true, they have S-500, even S-400 works on the hypersonic missiles, all kinds of them, including strategic. There is also S-300V4, which is specifically designed, it has the system which is capable of to detect, track, and shut down all kinds of prospective hypersonic missiles if they ever materialize in the West. But here is the issue, because for all those kids and fanboys who are gamers and go to listen to all kinds of the BS of people primarily, nothing wrong, again, make no mistake, I'm not saying this to insult people, I'm saying this just, people with some kind of humanities education who begin to talk about all those weapons and technologies, basically regurgitating the same propaganda BS, which is primarily published in the Western media, and then suddenly you have all those revelations, and people who are professionals say, yeah, don't expect it. Well, even if they do it in less than 20 years, you have to keep in mind that Russian weaponry in this respect, if you look at the capabilities of the same, for example, Sarmat, RS-28 Sarmat, which has unlimited range, it can fly actually around the Earth, and it can carry up to, people say 12 dozen, some say even more, avant-garde strategic weapon systems. Come on. Zircon already has second iteration coming. It will be in excess of 2,000 kilometer range, and it's already, they say, Mach 12, 13 at least. So yeah, there's nothing which can even, is in conceptual form, which can intercept it. There's none. So, and that's what is happening. And many people, yeah, they cannot take it. They begin to, cope. They begin to self-medicate, so to speak, creating all those, how to put it politely, fantasies, okay? Let's put it this way, they fantasize. Again, I gave you a lot of examples of how, for example, World War II has been rewritten or confabulated essentially in the West. Now you cannot hide this anymore. And the question is, for example, it has a strategic implications because suddenly even the commander-in-chief of the Russian Navy, Admiral Moiseev, today stated that, the foundation of the Russian naval power, ocean-going naval power, will be the frigates of the Project 22350 Admiral Gorshkov class. Granted that their modified, modernized version, which is coming up, is going to be not really a frigate anymore. They will have their kind of almost mix between the first-rank frigate and destroyer with many more, I believe 48 cells of the vertical launch system cells, apart from the systems for air defense. And when you carry something like Zircon, especially if it's modified version, you don't need really all those, repeat all those, Midway type or Coral Sea aircraft carrier battles. You just launch the missile or two and sink the freaking aircraft carrier. And nothing they can do about it. I mean, they wouldn't even know what hit them. And this is what the foundation for the new kind of strategies. And yeah, you can totally understand why the surface fleet, for example, has to kind of disperse and become smaller. It's not going to help that much, but it will help somewhat. Now when move the 100,000 tons of displacement, very fat targets, my gosh, some people would love to launch at them and get obviously some order, or award. So what can I say? And now to kind of explain to people who obviously there was a hysteria in this imbeciles in the Newsweek, and they before I go, I just want to remind you that today yesterday actually, in another Yasin class Zircon carrier went on the sea trials. It is the Project 885M. It is Arkhangelsk. So yeah, that's the fourth one. There are 5 more in production, and that's what I'm saying, that Russia can actually expand the number of the both strategic missile submarines and state-of-the-art subs like Yasin class, well, easily. And fact is, the plans are already being drafted to do so, and United States has no capability to match this anymore. So, and then we have the Newsweek, as I already stated. They have this, oh my god, they saw one tile of the anechoic tile of Kazan SSGN, which visited Havana, fell off. Oh my god, Russians do not know how to maintain ships, it's all rusty. Well, I have news for those cretins. I mean, just to demonstrate to you what ocean-going subs go through. Here's one of the Virginia-class submarines, or after one of its, patrols or cruises. As you can see yourself, a lot of those anechoic tiles fall off, and it's absolutely normal. This is what happens when you have the active navy. They go to sea, they go to ocean, and guess what? You cannot, do anything about it. In the same time, if you take a look at the state of this higher class submarine in Scotland, yeah, it's not very pleasant looking picture, as you can see yourself. And yeah, there's a lot of rust, there is a lot of things which are done, so hodgepodge, so to speak. You have to be inventive during your patrols or what have you. So it's normal. So, and if anybody begins to claim something which they don't understand, that somehow falling off one or two anechoic tiles creates some kind of the national security threat, well, I have news for them. They better go and study basic things on the level of the, Boy Scouts introduction into the Navy. So, because other than that, other than coping, and and again, Newsweek, it's Nyakon, RAG, and those people who work there and report for them, most of them are not really normal people mentally, which pretty much applies for the most part of the large portions of the so-called American expertdom, scientific expertdom, which cannot find their own ass with their both hands in the brightly lit room, and of course, let alone to the punditry. And in this case, again, not to be accused of being absolutely biased, you look at the Russian punditry, most of it are also imbeciles. They have those journal degrees, which is actually not a real degree. It's not profession. Journalism is not a real profession. So, and that's pretty much when you look at today's happening. I want to point out a wonderful article by Lieutenant Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski, who talks about the U.S. empire impending suicide. And she talks about it. It was on Lew Rockwell, and she spoke about it with Judge Napolitano about this. And she said that many of us hold the U.S. government to be on suicide watch. We have long observed its repeated actions of self-harm, hopelessness, exceptional and dangerous risk-taking. The Leviathan is intent upon killing itself, but we ought not blithely celebrate the suicide of the state. It defines itself in terms of all of us, and this will be a murder suicide if the state gets its way. And this is what I also report. Many people say, well, are you American patriot, for example? Well, depends on how do you define patriotism. I want the United States to become a normal state. I want it to succeed. I want to be prosperous, not by stealing or robbing people and killing them. I want the United States to live by its own means and prosper, which it has all capabilities to do so. But obviously, the way the modern United States exists, no, there's no chance of that until we really have to, kind of review our attitude to what is going on, including, to a large degree, geopolitical remaking of the world order on unprecedented scale, historic scale. And it is up to American people and the United States to really decide what it wants to do. If it wants to survive and become the full normal member of the international community. I don't know. I mean, I definitely have my vested interest. I live in the United States. I want to live normal life, as I'm pretty sure most of people in the United States want. But some don't. And we have to contend with this threat and this situation. This is everything I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, I want to express my profound gratitude to my wonderful patrons and people who actually buy me a coffee, or 2, or 5. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and 2. And that will be it for today, guys. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.